Welcome to your May 31st edition of the RO Sports Show, brought to you by First Health Orthopedics. I am your host, Matt Harrelson, and of course, to my right, one of our regulars, Russell Parker. Now, as you can see, the desk is a little short today. We got a couple guys on the DL, if you will, but nonetheless, the show must go on, and we're going to do that and continue to bring all of your local and national sports news. Now, talking about national news, the NBA Finals are finally upon us. They start tonight in Golden State. Golden State, of course, the 1 seed overall in the West coming in. The Cavaliers are 3 seed in the East, so of course that allows Golden State to start this series at home. Now, just to touch on how we got here. First of all, Cleveland and Boston finished their Game 7 first. This was actually in Boston, which was a theme we saw between them and then the Western Conference game. But nonetheless, Game 7, Cleveland ends up winning 87-79 over the Celtics. First of all, just real quick, did this surprise you?
No, not at all. I mean, LeBron, once again, carried his team, of course. But because they would do that, they were going to win. I don't think there was going to be any other outcome because of that.
And, speaking of carrying his team, LeBron again put up a monster game. He had 35 points, 15 rebounds, and 9 assists. He was actually just 1 assist off of a triple-double in Game 7, which obviously is what you want from your top guy.
Certainly.
Now, we've talked throughout the playoffs about was LeBron going to get any kind of help. We were wondering, especially in the first half of this game, he was literally getting nothing from his teammates. Finally, Jeff Green stepped up, ended up scoring 19 points and added 8 rebounds. On the other side, the Celtics, of course, they've been without Gordon Hayward for the whole season. They've lost Kyrie Irving for the playoffs. Myself and a lot of other people thought that would spell doom for them. Obviously, it didn't.
No, they had a pretty solid season without those two guys, and especially in the playoffs. They would go as far as they did. They should very well be proud of themselves as far as they went.
Absolutely, and we're going to talk about that here in just a second. But a couple of those guys that they've depended on since Kyrie's been hurt, Jason Tatum exploded. Rookie, which, you can make a case should be Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
However, he scored 24 points and actually had to guard LeBron for a majority of that game, which even at 33 years old is not an easy task. Now, Al Horford, who's a veteran, complete opposite of Tatum as far as experience, he chipped in 17 points. And then Terry Rozier, who we've talked about a lot, is filling in the gap for Kyrie this season, only scored 4 points.
Wow.
And shot 0 from 10 from the three-point line and 2 of 14 from the field overall. So I think that, as much as anything, had a lot to play with the outcome of this game. Now, the Celtics themselves shot 7 of 39 from the three-point line. And I'm not sure what that percentage is, but it ain't good, Celtics. No. And they shot 29 of 85 from the field. So they shot the ball 85 times overall, which is what you see in the NBA now. Now, the Cavs didn't do a whole lot better. They shot 9 of 35 from three-point land, 30 of 66 from the field. So they shot almost 50%. But again, obviously, looking at the stats, neither team shot well. That's hence the low score. Because
for an NBA game, that's pretty low.
Yeah, 87-79 is the low score. So just real quick, overall, what was your opinion of the game?
I think, Celtics, they probably had too much emotion going on because they get into this final game out of the series, and they are in their hometown, and they probably had okay, we can do this, but they were they're not completely there. And LeBron, I'm still surprised they actually made it, to be honest. I'm a little bit surprised they made it because of the fact that LeBron continues to carry his team, and, I don't know what LeBron can do against Golden State later on, but I know right now they've got a solid going for them right now.
And we're going to touch on that here shortly. But, talking about the Cavs, if you take LeBron off of this team,
they're nothing,
and just play the guys you have left,
nothing.
They make the playoffs in the East, but no way they make it to the finals, right?
No way.
Which shows you the importance of LeBron James for the Cavaliers. Now, looking forward, talking about them facing Golden State, Kevin Love is not going to be there, which you can make a case as their second best player for the Cavaliers. And we're also going to talk about the Cavs-Warriors matchup, the Warriors-Rockets matchup here. But looking forward real quick, kind of going back and forth here, Kevin Love's in the concussion protocol, which we see in football all the time. Basketball, not as much. Just real quick, do you think his absence in Game 1 is going to hurt them?
I don't think so, because Golden State has been able to consistently play well throughout the playoffs, I think they're going to be just fine.
Well, I mean, look, the Cavs were able to win Game 7 without Love. So, obviously, running into Golden State is a completely different animal than the Celtics. Personally, I think it might hurt them a little bit because Kevin Love is a big man, but you can post him up. He also shoots threes, which obviously in today's NBA is what matters, as we see with all these shots that go up. But speaking of Golden State and Houston, let's touch on that for a minute because they also had their Game 7 earlier this week. This one took place in Houston. As we know now, Golden State beat them 101-92. So we've seen both away teams go into the number 1 seeds, or actually Boston was a 2 seed, but go into the higher seed and lose.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's kind of an anomaly, but wouldn't you think it is?
It makes it interesting that the home team loses, and it's a heartbreaking moment for the fans. I know that I think the Celtics, their fans did not give up at all in the end. They were still chanting. And so were the Rockets. I mean, you got to appreciate that you got a great fan base behind you.
Absolutely.
But unfortunately, it just wasn't enough to get the job done, even in that situation.
I have to mention that Houston was without their all-star, all-world point guard, Chris Paul, which, you can make a case was the thing that helped put Golden State over the edge. Maybe it didn't. Who knows? But I have to sit here and think that missing a dynamic player like that who's been itching for an NBA Finals championship had to play at least a small role in this, right? Anytime you're missing somebody that big.
Yeah, I mean, they can play a leadership role from the bench or in the locker room and make a difference on their team.
Absolutely. Now, just like Game 6 in this series, Houston actually had an early lead in the first half.
They blew it.
Yeah, and you were part of that group text that we all have.
Yeah.
Kind of keeping track of the game. And I remember saying to you guys, the same thing happened in Game 6. I'm not holding my breath for Houston to win until that final buzzer goes off. And then, you check back 10 minutes later and the Rockets are down by 10, just that quick, which goes to show you how quickly Golden State can not only score, but score a lot of points in a small period of time.
They know how to get that W.
They do. And three-pointers is the biggest part of that, which is their MO. Kevin Durant put up 34 points. You can make a case he's their best player instead of Steph Curry, but Curry chipped in 27. Klay Thompson, of course, the three-point machine, had 19 points. And when Klay Thompson starts getting on a roll, to me, that's kind of the X factor, if you will, for Golden State. On the other side, James Harden had 32 points. Eric Gordon had 23 points. He was trying to kind of fill in that Chris Paul gap. Harden himself shot 2 of 13 from three-point land. Eric Gordon shot 2 of 12 from beyond the arc. So what do you think about that? The fact that they went, 4 for 25? That's not getting it done, is it?
That's kind of ridiculous. They're having to say that. I really don't know what they were thinking heading into that game, and I know they were motivated to win, but they were not going to be able to get it done like that. You got to put the numbers up if you ain't got it.
And we knew, and we may have even talked about it last week, that three-pointers were going to be, like I said, the big deciding factor. It was a matter of who was going to make more shots. As we see now, Golden State made more of those shots, and again, Chris Paul making his own shots, facilitating to some of his guys. I believe made a big difference there. But nonetheless, we've got Cleveland, Golden State for the 4th year in a row.
Part 4.
Yeah. Now, I know we're kind of jumping back and forth here, and we're going to absolutely talk about them facing each other again. But I want to talk just real quick about the Boston Celtics and the Houston Rockets moving forward. Obviously, they both had great seasons. Houston was the number 1 seed, had the best record in all of basketball. Boston was able to put together a great team, and I use that literally as in a team. Of course, losing Gordon Hayward, a lot of people thought, well, that's going to hurt them, but they still got Kyrie. Yeah. Then they lose Kyrie for the playoffs, and again, as I said at the top of the show, me myself have been saying, that's it. They may win some games, they may win a series or two, but no way they take it to that point that they did, but as we see now, that happened. Let's start with the Celtics, just because they were a 2 seed and Houston was a 1. Is the future bright for Boston? I mean, they've got these young guys and they've got 2 established stars.
Yeah, I think they got a great future ahead of them. Maybe even a finals appearance in the future. I mean, they played a very good game against the Cavs. Unfortunately, couldn't get the job done, but it was a lot to do with LeBron, which maybe they might be trying to go after him next for this coming up season.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they have the cap space to be able to bring on someone like LeBron. I'm not so sure LeBron would even want to go there. However, all of this is going to be determined by what happens with LeBron. You know, free agency, some other things we're going to get on here in just a few minutes. But I agree that with Jason Tatum, Terry Rozier stepping up the way they did, I mean, to me, Jason Tatum's ceiling is literally through the roof because rookie out of Duke killed it this year. And as we saw, scored 24 points in Game 7, which is when you want your top guy to show out.
Oh, yeah.
Looking at the Rockets, you know, they, like we said several times, they were without Chris Paul. Nonetheless, they still played what I thought was a competitive game. Obviously, they took the loss, but you still got James Harden there, who's one of the best players in the league. Very well may even win MVP this year. You still got Chris Paul, and you still got a plethora of rotation guys that can shoot the three. So future's bright there as well, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously they had a great season with finishing out with the best record in the NBA. And that can carry momentum to the next season.
Yeah.
And they can build off of that and continue to. And just the same as the Celtics, they can make a finals appearance.
And again, this is all going to be determined by what happens with LeBron. But one thing that the Celtics have going for them is that they're not in the West.
Yeah.
And Houston's going to have to deal with Golden State as they currently sit for who knows, as long as they keep that band together.
To me, Golden State reminds me of like the Alabama of the NBA because they're just always going to be there. They're always going to be that threat. And you always got to watch out for them when you get into the playoffs.
Absolutely. Now, we've got some graphics that Russell was very nice to throw up for us. So as we're talking, we're going to go through some of these. As we said, this is Cleveland versus Golden State Part 4. And as you can see on the bracket, 2018, 2017, 2016, and 2015 was all Golden State versus Cleveland. You can also see that Russell added on there in 2014 was San Antonio versus Miami, which of course LeBron was with Miami. Miami won that year.
How many appearances has LeBron had?
This is actually his, I'm not sure how many he's had overall, but this is his 8th straight finals appearance, which is ridiculous to think about. And we've talked about this several times, and I want to get your opinion on it. That's so many miles put on his legs and on his body. And I know we keep saying it, he's running out of gas, and he keeps proving us wrong, but at some point it's got to give, right?
I think, definitely. Yeah, but the question is when.
Yeah.
And if you ask me, I don't think it's not this season. It won't be this season. I think he's got at least 5 more years on him.
Really?
I'll go 5 years.
That many. I would agree with you, and I think that depends on where he goes. Mm-hmm. If he goes somewhere where he's going to have to continue to be the man and the only man like he's doing with in Cleveland, maybe that's still in Cleveland, I don't know if he'll even want to play 5 more years. Now, if he goes to a situation, wherever it may be, where he's going to have a very good opportunity to continue to go to the finals, maybe try to win a couple more, then yeah, 5 years I could definitely see him doing, because he's 33 years old, which we've said before is not old at all, because I'm 35, so thankfully 33 is not that old. But for basketball, you're starting to get up there. And I think I heard on ESPN that Game 7 was his 100th game this season alone.
Wow.
So you think about that over 8 years, I mean, it's easy to know that's 800 games just right there. So a lot of that.
I still think, even at 38, which is 5 years from now, I think he can still play somewhere where he's got a good team around him, like you just said. I think Golden State would be the best fit for him to do that. Will he do that? Will he go to Golden State? It's a possibility.
If he does, I think you might as well just skip the season and just go to the playoffs. Because who's going to beat that team?
Yeah, you might as well just sleep and wait for retirement.
At that point, you've got 3 or 4 of the top 10, 15 at the most, because I would slide Klay Thompson in the top 15 players in the whole league. KD, Steph Curry, and LeBron. Forget about it, right?
Yeah.
But looking at the matchup, another graphic that we've got pulled up is the Cavaliers versus Golden State and their stats for this season. As you can see, points per game is almost 110 is the kind of the average between them, but 113.5 points per game for Golden State, basically 110 for the Cavs. So we're expecting a high volume of scoring in this series, right?
I think we're going to have a very even matchup between LeBron and the Warriors. And that's only said LeBron, not the entire Cavaliers.
Yeah, which is unfortunately for Cav fans in the city of Cleveland has been the case for all season, really. But as you can see again on the graphic, the field goal percentages for everybody, 50% basically for Golden State, and we'll call that rounding up 48%. So again, very close. just the fact that Golden State's shooting 50% against Cleveland, if that happens, it's going to be tough for Cleveland to win this series. And then, of course, as you also can see, points allowed, basically 100 for Cleveland and 100 for Golden State. So very, very close in the numbers, and I would imagine that's probably what we're going to see.
And
now,
even if you're getting tired of seeing these two face each other in the finals, you have to admit, I think these are probably the best two teams and the best matchup for the finals.
And let's talk about that, because this was the matchup that you called from the start. I think actually Jeremy
Without
did too.
much knowledge of it, by the way.
But it brings up the question, as we've seen the Cavs and the Warriors playing in this finals for the 4th straight year, is the NBA too top-heavy?
I think so. I mean, like I said earlier, I think the Warriors is Alabama. You see them all the time. You get tired of them after a while, and you keep seeing these teams stay up there, and it's like, okay, you can easily make predictions on who's going to be in the finals or the champion, the West and East titles.
Yeah,
it's too easy, I think.
It is, and I think it's detrimental to the NBA, because when the season starts, everybody just assumes that it's going to be Cleveland and Golden State, or whatever team that LeBron plays for and Golden State. And as you can, as we've seen, that's exactly what we're getting is Golden State and Cleveland. So I don't know what's going to happen for that to spread out to where some of the other teams start getting a chance. Obviously, LeBron retiring perhaps might do that.
I also think it has something to do with the draft. I think they need to fix the draft as well. They'll get it set up like this with the NFL. Get rid of whatever they're doing now with the lottery. I don't like that at all. I'll continue not to like that.
I agree. And I think Bobby told us why they do that last week, but unfortunately I can't remember what it was. But the ping pong system to me is broken.
Yeah.
Because when you have like for instance the Suns, they went 21-61. They had the worst record. It worked out for them. They got the number 1 pick. But again, we've seen several scenarios where the worst team gets like the 3rd or 4th pick, and to me that's just not right.
Yeah, imagine Warriors getting number 1 pick after winning a championship. How's that fair?
Well, yeah, and you're absolutely right. But like for instance the Cavs, I think they have the 8th, 7th, or 8th pick. Now of course
ahead of Charlotte.
Yeah, ahead of Charlotte. Now, that was part of a trade that they made a few years ago. That was actually supposed to be the Brooklyn Nets' pick, but Cleveland's just been holding on to it. In the event that LeBron leaves and maybe they want to use that to maybe trade for another NBA star or put something together, maybe use it to draft the next big guy for Cleveland. We won't know about that until after the draft. But continuing our talk about the Cavs versus the Warriors, as you can see, we've got another bracket here that Russell was nice enough to put up for us. LeBron James versus KD for this season head-to-head, their stats. Again, very even, especially as far as points per game. LeBron averaging 27.5 points versus KD. KD not far behind him, basically we'll call that 26 points. So that leads me to believe that these guys are going to put up at least 30 points apiece. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, certainly.
I would agree.
But the one that stands out kind of for me is the free throw percentage. KD's a lot better on that one.
He is, which has been his entire career. He usually shoots around 90%. LeBron usually shoots, just like we see, high 60s, low 70s. And as you can see, 73% for LeBron, 80, we'll call that 89 for KD. But again, that's head-to-head, too.
Yeah.
And then, of course, field goal percentage overall, so not just free throws and not just three-pointers. LeBron ahead of KD in this one, shooting 54%, KD shooting 52%. So, again, very close matchup I think we can expect to see. And I think that's going to be good for the NBA because some people may be tired of Golden State versus, let's just call it LeBron.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to see a great series.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it'll go always 7.
And I'm going to get a prediction from you here like we always do, but I wanted to ask you a question. We kind of teased it a minute ago, but is there any chance, win or lose, that LeBron hangs it up after this year and retires?
Okay, I don't think it'll be this year, but I think I know I said 5 years earlier. I'm gonna go down a little bit to 3.
Okay.
3 on that one.
Which, if he retired, would make him 36.
Yeah.
And obviously an illustrious career, first ballot Hall of Famer, 100%. He should get. Of course, nobody votes 100% for some reason. I don't know why they do that. It's the same way in baseball. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I just think that, especially if they win, because Vegas has Golden State as an overwhelming favorite to win, as I think they should. Mm-hmm. I feel like if they win and he's able to, I think Golden State overall is 2-1. If he's able to, in this 4th matchup, even it up, I could see a scenario where he says, you know what, I've done everything I wanted to do. I've won, I'm not even sure how many finals, 4 or 5, something like that. He won't have caught Jordan, but
I think that's what he's tracking. I think he's trying to track that down.
do you?
I really do.
Well, I mean, at this point, we've talked about it. All-star appearances, those kind of accolades don't mean as much to him as they do other players. For LeBron, it's all about winning championships and getting that big trophy, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So,
although I don't think he would. I know he's always about winning, but I'm sure he does have a little care for the fans, and he probably would want to have let them have one more season so they can have the opportunity to see him play.
But let me throw another scenario at your way. Come free agency time. What if LeBron looks at the landscape of the NBA and says, Cleveland's not a good opportunity for me. There's other teams that would be good, but they don't have the cap space, or I can't go there. And all the other teams, I quite frankly don't want to play for them. Then could we possibly see him retire?
Certainly, I think that would be a case then. But I think maybe even then, he might even choose a 1-year deal with somebody for a little bit cheaper than what he's already asking for. Just might want to play for a good bad teams to get them somewhere. He might want to do something like that.
And we've seen LeBron in the past sign a 2-year deal, or maybe sign a 1-year deal with a player option for the second season, which I very easily, if he doesn't retire, I very easily could see him doing that, which puts all of the control in his hand. The ball would be in his court, no pun intended, really. But I want to pull up another bracket that I find very, very interesting, and I know you do too, being an Alabama fan. But folks, take a look at this one. And as you can see, when Alabama wins a national championship, so does LeBron.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that this was even a thing, but as you can see on the screen there, 2012, 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 we've got pulled up here. Now, Alabama won a title in 2012, 2013, 2016, and 2018. And guess who else won then?
LeBron.
Of course, we don't know how 2018 is going to pull out, but on the other side of that, when Alabama lost in the Sugar Bowl in 2014 and lost the semifinal in 2015 and then lost in 2017 to Clemson, so did LeBron. I mean, is there really anything to this, or is it just coincidence?
I don't know. I mean, I guess if you go back further than that, where Alabama didn't make an appearance at all.
Sure.
You can argue something like that because LeBron has been in those appearances 8 past seasons.
Yeah, and when it comes to stats in any sport, with analytics now, there's so many out there that you can. I don't want to say skew, but you can make stats to fit your narrative a lot of different ways.
And if it's only go back to 2012, what about 2010 or 2009 or 2009 or something like that? Go back further.
Yeah, absolutely. Which would be interesting to do. Maybe we can do that for next week, because I would imagine we're still going to be in the middle of the finals when we come back next week. But again, first game is tonight. I think it's at 9 o'clock in Oakland and Golden State. So I want to get a prediction from you. Let's start with, who do you think will win the game tonight specifically?
I think with them being at Golden State, I think Golden State's going to get the win here.
Okay,
but I think it'll be a close one.
I'm going to take Golden State too for that very reason. First of all, Kevin Love's out. That's going to be a factor. Golden State they'll have their full squad, so I think we're going to see a difference in that. And also, they're playing at home. I think that is the biggest factor as far as game one. So I agree. I think it'll be close. I think we're going to see LeBron do LeBron, and we're going to see KD do KD head-to-head, as we pulled up a minute ago. Now, for the series, and I will allow everybody to flip-flop next week if they want to, but right now, who are you taking?
I think when we first started talking about the playoffs, I think I might have said Cleveland.
Okay.
So I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with it because I've always had a gut feeling when I go with something, I need to stick with it. Back when NASCAR playoffs were going on, I had a gut feeling on a lot of those, and I got them right. Alabama win national championship in the playoffs. I got all the playoffs correct on that. So nice. I'm feeling pretty confident on this one here still. Yeah,
well, I mean, you dance with the girl that brung you. So, me personally, I got no problem with that. Of course, it's bit me in the butt a few times sticking to my guns. As far as overall, though, let me start with this. Last week, I said it was going to be the Cavs and the Rockets. Obviously, the Rockets lost. So I had the Cavs, which would make you think I'm going to take them. I have to go with Golden State, though, and I know that that's not really a crazy pick.
How many times have you been against LeBron in this play?
I don't know. Too many to count. And every time he proves me wrong, maybe I'm picking Golden State because I want Cleveland to win.
Yeah.
Playing some mind games. No, but I just think Golden State's got too many weapons, and I just think LeBron alone's not going to be enough. Because what Golden State is going to do is they're going to let LeBron do his thing and score his 35, 40, 45 points. What they're going to do in this game tonight and the rest of the series is just try to shut down everybody else. You know, your three-point shooters and J.R. Smith and Kyle Korver. If Kevin Love's able to come back at some point in the series, you put two guys on him in the post. And basically, let LeBron do his thing and just shut down everybody else.
Yeah, that could very well work. I mean, you can't win off of one player, even though he has been kind of leading the charge here. Just his 35 points against what Golden State could do was 80 to 100 points.
Yeah.
Easily.
Which, before we go to break, I saw a meme. Of course, the memes pop up about this stuff. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was a picture of LeBron, and it was a parody on the Star Wars movie that just came out, Solo. And it said LeBron James as Bron, Solo, a Cleveland Cavaliers story. And I thought that's perfect because that's what everybody's thinking. And finally somebody said it out loud that it's basically LeBron versus 5. Of course, we've said that a few times on the show here, but
they've been listening to us.
That's what it is. Yeah, ESPN wants to be like the RO Sports Show. But that's going to do it for the first talk of NBA Finals. Of course, like I said, when we come back next week, I guarantee it'll be first on the docket, so we'll continue and see where we're at by that point. Maybe flip-flop, maybe not. We'll have to wait and see. But when we come back from the break, as usual, we're going to hit the track, talk NASCAR. This time, got some Indy 500 addition to add in there, and also how Danica Patrick ended up in her final race. We're also going to talk some baseball, which we haven't really done a lot lately, but this time, instead of the professional league, we're going to go down to the NCAA, which is starting their baseball tournament on actually tomorrow.
College World Series.
And there are a lot of teams from the Carolinas, so we're going to get into all that and a whole lot more when we come back from the RO Sports Show.
At Richmond Community College, we can prepare you for a high-skill, high-paying career in a variety of fields. From business to education, engineering, utilities, healthcare, criminal justice, information technology, and human services. At Richmond Community College, we can save you thousands of dollars on tuition through our university transfer programs that provide a seamless transition to universities and colleges throughout North Carolina. At Richmond Community College, we are always developing new courses and programs in response to the communities we serve. We offer day, evening, and online courses, and you can now complete 5 curriculum programs entirely online. At Richmond Community College, we believe in helping you prepare for a better life. Richmond Community College. Local college, big impact.
Exit Realty Platinum in Rockingham has listed one of the most beautiful homes in Richmond County. Located in Rockingham on Ledbetter Lake, the home features 4 bedrooms with bamboo floors and a kitchen featuring stainless steel appliances and granite countertops, and a master bedroom that overlooks Ledbetter Lake, along with a spacious tile shower and the attached master bathroom. The open living space leads to the back deck with a perfect view of Ledbetter Lake, and the property features its own boat dock. Want to see this beautiful home? Call Nicole Hayden with Exit Realty Platinum, your source for homes in Richmond and Moore counties.
My name is Jim Leach, and we have been using the Tim Hayden Construction Company for the last several years.
My name is Dave Owens and my wife Beth. We had some damage here at our place in Knollwood Village.
January 2nd, our house flooded upstairs coming through to the first floor.
Tim has responded very quickly with his team of people.
Our repairs went extremely well.
Tim made a very difficult situation much easier for us.
And welcome back to the RO Sports Show, brought to you by First Health Orthopedics. And as we do, now that we're in NASCAR season, going to continue that coverage. So I'm going to kick it to you, Russell. Where were we this past weekend?
Well, we were still hanging out in Charlotte this week. Of course, they've been here the past 2 weeks now. For the Coca-Cola 600, it's NASCAR's longest night. 600 miles is the longest race of the season.
600 miles?
600 miles of...
Whew.
I think they have close to almost 400 laps in that race.
That's a lot of left turns.
Oh, yeah. But one driver who I hope is going to win, Jimmy Johnson, who I had picked, He didn't get the job done. He was doing good though, which I predicted him to do well anyways, because around summertime he starts to heat up.
Now, not to interrupt you, but real quick, has Jimmie Johnson had a history of racing well in Charlotte?
Oh yeah, he's got a huge history racing well at Charlotte. Won multiple All-Star races. He's got a couple of Charlotte point races won there as well. He's always a threat to win there at Charlotte every single season.
Sure. All right, go ahead, though. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
But yeah, he didn't get the job done. He finished decent. I think he got top 10 out of it. However, that top 10 didn't look like much, considering the leader of the race had lapped almost everybody, it seemed.
Really?
And had over a 14-second lead when all said and done over third place. So Kyle Busch was the one who got it done, as you were forced to be predicted.
Yeah, you made me pick him because you wanted him to crash, right? Just like Keselowski did the time before that. But
And I'm going to have to punch my ticket on that one, because I know that was terrible for me to say that. But, I mean, you know.
Yeah, it is what it is. But now, who did you have?
It was Jimmie Johnson.
You had Jimmy? Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure. And, of course, Kyle Busch won. How's he doing so far this year?
Kyle Busch is now sitting at the top of the standings. He is leading by 67 points over Logano. Got him a couple wins this season. Doing very well this season, actually. Kind of surprised at how, I'm not surprised, but I'm surprised at how well he's doing at this point, considering he's kind of had a couple of setbacks the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, it's been
But
going on.
this is actually a monumental win for Kyle. He actually got he has now won all 23 sanctioned tracks on the circuit.
Really?
Yeah, so he's I think he's one of the very few that actually have done that. I think Jimmie Johnson might be one of them.
Yeah.
But Kyle Busch, yeah.
I was going to say, that's not only a testament to being good, but being the longevity of it, being in the sport that long to be able to win at every one.
Yeah. And he's got plenty of years left on him still.
Yeah. Do you know how old he is roughly? In his 30s, probably?
I think he's getting there, yeah.
Like lower 30s, something like that. Oh, he's
there.
still got plenty of time.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, so Jimmie Johnson's, you think's probably another guy that's done that? More than likely.
I think there's like one track that he has not won. I cannot remember off the top of my head which one it is.
Which could be tough to do because NASCAR tracks change, not every year, but every, 5 or 6 years maybe?
They haven't added a new track to the circuit in a very long time. As far as the
really?
Cup Series goes, it's kind of been the same, especially considering NASCAR likes to make them do like a 5-year deal with them, so it's really rare that you see it change.
Okay.
Now, the Xfinity Series, they've added on a few tracks. And as well as the Truck Series, I know they got one up in Canada they race on. They got Iowa.
They race in Canada?
The Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, yeah.
Now, where is that?
That's a road course that's not too far. I think I'm not quite sure where exactly it is. I think it's in Montreal or close to
I'm
there.
going to say, it's got to be in the lower half of Canada,
Yeah,
right?
it's not too far out.
Nobody wants to be racing on snow on a road course. Of course, I hear Montreal in the summertime is beautiful. So, but moving on for next weekend, where are we headed to?
We are heading to the Tricky Triangle, Pocono Raceway.
The Poconos.
Yep,
Is that Pennsylvania?
Yep.
Okay.
It's an interesting track because it's actually a 3-leg, 3-turn track, not usual to your oval or a road course.
Huh.
And it actually takes pieces of different. The turns on are interesting because if you look at how the track was designed, each turn has been replicated by a famous track. I believe the first one is Indy, the first turn of Indy.
Okay.
The second one I think is one from Monaco. I can't remember where the third one's from, but they made it to be a triangle, pretty much what it comes out to be.
That is interesting and different.
Yeah.
Real quick, when you say Monaco, you're talking Spain, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that usually an F1 series
Yeah,
track?
and in fact, and go back to this past Sunday, it's the biggest day of motor racing because you had F1 going over the Grand Prix that morning. And the way I heard it was said it was breakfast in Monaco, lunch in Indianapolis, and dinner at Charlotte. That's how it was this past Sunday.
There you go. And we're going to get into the Indy 500 here in just a second, but real quick, for the Poconos, who are you taking?
It would be hard to go against Kevin Harvick or Kyle Busch, but I'm not going to. I think Truex can get this one done because he's won it in the past. He got his first win of the season a couple of years ago, last year, which propelled him to win the championship. So I think he's got a chance to win here, although I won't count out drivers like Kyle Larson or Ryan Blaney who have shown a lot of potential there. Ryan Blaney has a win there. Kyle Larson has shown a lot of potential there as well. So I think those two will be our sleepers of the race.
Not really big NASCAR household names, but still, as you say, a couple guys that could show up and show out on Sunday. Now, you mentioned Truex Jr., who is on Russell's NASCAR Power Rankings presented by McNair Auto Sales. We're going to pull that up for everybody to see, and something we're going to try to do each week as we move further and further into the NASCAR season. Again, want to tell everybody you can see this, all of our videos, and so much more stuff on the RO Sports Show's Facebook page, which we started last week. We've gotten a lot of coverage so far. I'm really excited about what we've done and what we're going to do in the future moving forward. But just talk real quick about your list here.
Well, obviously, number one is Kevin Harvick, and just the dominance he has had this season.
Oh, yeah.
It's undeniable that he should not be there. Kyle Busch is up there, too, because he's actually having a very strong season, still making a lot of solid races. A couple of weeks ago, he had some run-ins, not great. Logano's been very consistent throughout the season. He's still up in the top 2 in the standings and can very well take it over with a couple more wins if he gets them. Martin Truex Jr., I would put him higher, but he hasn't really shown a whole lot recently. And of course, Brad Keselowski's kind of been in and out, in my opinion. He's been there and he hasn't been there, but he is still among the top 10 in the standings and still being able to be consistent.
Yeah, that part about not being there, that's my fault. And I know that that race, as far as the points, didn't matter. Wasn't that the one he crashed in?
Yeah, that was all for it. So that doesn't matter too much.
True, but still, I kind of feel bad about that moving forward. But again, Russell will be having, will be putting up his power rankings. I'd say we probably do that on Monday or Tuesday, something like that, after the races are done. But again, you can catch that on the RO Sports Show's Facebook page. Now, we mentioned Indianapolis, so the Indy 500. How many years have they been doing this now?
This is the recent one was 102.
Wow.
102nd Indy 500.
102 years they've been doing this. That's incredible to think about. In the same track, on the same racetrack?
The Yard of Bricks, yep. Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And they used to race it back when it was all brick. The track used to be nothing but brick at one point. But they took that up because I think the bricks were, after when drivers would go over it, as cars were getting more speed, the bricks would actually start coming out of the track and become a hazard. But the finish line is a yard. It's just a line of bricks.
Yeah.
And Dale Jarrett was the one who made it famous to kiss the bricks.
I was about to say, you see him kiss the bricks and then drink milk, right?
Yeah.
Don't they
in
usually
Indy, they'll
drink
drink the milk.
Yeah.
And they always, when they come in, they pull in, get the milk jug, they dump it all over them as well, which I don't think I could do that.
Unless you're lactose intolerant. Then I think, you do water or something?
Probably.
I don't think we run into that quite yet. But as far as the Indy 500, who won this race?
Will Power did. He's a driver from Team Penske.
Okay.
So it was pretty cool to see Penske win. Penske's one of my team. Actually, is my team.
And just got into the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah, just got into NASCAR Hall of Fame.
Perfect timing.
And it would have been cool to see one of the Penske drivers in NASCAR win, because they won a Penske sweep, if you will.
Yeah.
But, he had a solid race. They actually won it kind of off of fuel mileage. There was 2 drivers ahead of him on the closing laps who were about to run out of gas, and they had to pull off down the pit road, and Will Power took off with it and won it.
Now, let me ask you this. The people that almost ran out of gas, who does that fall on? Is that the crew chief?
I don't think it really falls on anybody. Actually, I'm kind of surprised at the fact that they did not pit.
Okay, yeah.
Beforehand, because they did have a caution, less than 20 to go, and I figured that they would have pitted during that time to keep that, but I think they were trying to take a gamble and see if they can have enough to make it, because it was only 3 laps, about 2 or 3 laps whenever he took the lead from them.
Which we see drivers try to do all the time, where they think, I've got enough gas to get through. Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. Of course, for those guys,
I've seen Dale Earnhardt Jr. try that many times.
Coasting to a victory. Yeah. Of course, it worked out for Will Power, not so much for the guys that had to pull off to the side.
That's another Indy 500 for Penske. He's got plenty of them. I know Helio Castroneves, one of my which is my driver in IndyCar. He's got a couple of them himself. So, Penske's got something going there.
Now, of course, Helio's a very well-known name on the F1 circuit. Another well-known name, not just in F1, but NASCAR as well, is Danica Patrick.
Yeah.
This was her final race, right?
Her final race in motorsports.
So how did that turn out?
She did not have a good one. I would say she actually had a good race until she wrecked, which she was having issues with her car throughout the race. And she spun out similar to another car before that, so I know everybody gets that stigma that she wrecks in every race. Yeah. But I think there was something going on with the car that day that caused that anyways.
Was it early in the race?
It was kind of in the middle, towards the middle of the race. And she qualified 7th. She ran solid around the top 15 all race. I really think if she would have had a solid top 10, she might be considering going back to IndyCar in the future. I think she would do well if she would stay in IndyCar personally.
But after crashing out, though, you think she's like, this is it, she's done?
Yeah, I watched an interview, and she has said that she's done for now.
Well,
she says because like that because she might come back, but right now she has no intentions whatsoever.
What she did is she, boom, closed the door and then went.
Yeah, exactly. just let it open a little
Which
bit.
Danica Patrick, very popular, celebrity status outside of NASCAR too.
Oh,
she
yeah.
has other things going on. Very exuberant, beautiful woman. So she won't have any problems finding opportunities outside of the racetrack, don't you think?
Yeah, I think what she has said was she wanted a more quieter life because it was getting too much of an adrenaline rush to be racing. Yeah, that makes sense. So I'm sure. I think she just wants to kind of take it back a little bit, kick it back down a notch. Spent some time with her boyfriend Aaron Rodgers. So
That's right. I forgot she's dating Aaron Rodgers. We'll get to see her at some football games. Then.
Yeah, what's interesting? She actually is a Bears fan.
Oh, that won't work well come Thanksgiving
But
time.
she actually threw out. From my understanding, she actually has some. She had a jersey with her name on it. She actually threw out just to date him.
Wow.
So.
Hey, I mean, when you're dating Aaron Rodgers, you got to keep him happy, I suppose. So that's a good way to do it. Really, a Bears fan? That surprises me. But
Well, she's from Roscoe, Illinois, so.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, very good. Well, that's going to do it for the NASCAR talk for this week and Indy 500, of course. As we do every week, we're going to come back next week and see how things turn out at the Poconos, see if Russell was right about his pick. Now, as we tend to do after NASCAR, we're going to go from fast to grass, and sometimes grass is golf. But this week, we're going to touch on the NCAA baseball tournament, which is set to kick off tomorrow, and there are a ton of games going on just tomorrow.
A ton of teams featuring North Carolina and South Carolina teams.
Absolutely. And I'm not even sure what the count was. There were so many of them.
Yeah, I tried to count on my fingers. I think I ran out.
Yeah, exactly. You probably did. Now, for anybody that's not familiar with it, the 2018 baseball tournament, like I said, starting tomorrow, the top 16 seeded teams, sounds familiar like basketball, but the top 16 teams will play at home for the regionals, which is the first set of the tournament, and that's including number 1 overall seed Florida, who, quite frankly, just killed it this year, and I would have to think is the preemptive favorite coming into this tournament. Now, the first round is going to be double elimination. Each regional has 4 teams in it. Of course, you lose twice, you're out.
Yeah.
But if you sweep everybody, then you continue to move on to the second round, which is the super regionals. Those are a best of 3 series, obviously. So you play 3. Whoever gets the 2 first is the winner there. And then after that, everybody heads to Omaha, Nebraska, where the College World Series will kick off. That's double elimination to begin with. And then once you get down to the final 2 teams, that'll be a best of 3 series there as well. So a lot of baseball coming up soon.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I do want to bring up here, I looked up the top 16 seeds overall because I just mentioned them. So I want to talk about just a few of these. Number 5, North Carolina is the first one clocking in from the Carolinas, which I'm happy to see, being number 5, obviously. I do want to mention Florida State is right behind them at 7, and I just bring them up because they're an ACC team. Moving forward, Clemson is 10, of course, in our state neighbor to the south. East Carolina coming in at 12, which was a little surprising to me, but nonetheless, Coastal Carolina coming in at 15.
Clears getting in.
And number 16, NC State up in Raleigh. And I know, I'm talking about that group text that we have, I mentioned that Minnesota is in, but I found that very weird, I guess, maybe, them and Oregon State, because most, 99 times out of 100, your best college baseball teams are from the middle of America and below, because majority
like football a little bit.
A little bit, because I don't even know if it's the recruiting base like it is in football, but Southern teams tend to do better because Southern states play more baseball because the weather's just quite frankly better.
And from the looks of it, it looks like most of the area is Carolinas.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean they had a map as we saw teams
Apparently
scattered there.
They had us in Virginia and South Carolina. They had a team that were in.
They had Clemson and Coastal Carolina in North Carolina, and then all of the North Carolina teams for some reason up in Virginia, which I found kind of funny.
That's just not as bad as them calling ECU Eastern Carolina.
Is that what they called them?
Sometimes you'll see it on the board at the bottom, or even on like Sports Center, they'll say Eastern Carolina.
Eastern Carolina. I don't know what's up with that, but now as you knew we would, folks, we went and looked at all the Carolina teams and their first matchups and who they're playing against. And like we like to do, whether we're right or wrong, more wrong than right, we're going to do some quick predictions. You ready?
Yeah.
So let's start off here. Number 1 seed NC State in their bracket is facing off against number 4 Army, which that one surprised me a little bit too. That game is set for 7 p.m. tomorrow night on Friday in Raleigh. Who you got?
I'm going to have to go with the Wolfpack because of that home field advantage. I think you're going to have a big fan base here for the Wolfpack.
Absolutely. I think Army's going to be a little too far away from home for this one, so I'm taking the
Well, they're
Wolfpack
from
as
West
well.
Point, I believe, right?
It is.
Yeah, they got a long way to go.
Moving on, number 1 seed Georgia is going to be facing off against number 4 Campbell, which of course is located not too far from here in
Campbell
Bowie's
got
Creek.
in.
Campbell got in, yeah. Which, just to throw this out there, kudos to Campbell because they upgraded their basketball stadium. They built a brand new football stadium. I would imagine they probably did some stuff to their baseball stadium as well. So Campbell's kind of on the up and up when it comes to college sports. And I also want to throw out another thing. Drew Butler, who is the son of Jim Butler, Richmond Senior High School's principal, he's moved on from baseball, but just last year, he led the entire NCAA in steals.
Wow.
Think about that for a second. And didn't get drafted. Like, come on, guys. Somebody give this kid a shot.
Yeah.
Great kid, fast, obviously, knows how to read the pitcher and the catcher. Anyway, moving on. Georgia, Campbell, 7:30 Friday night in Athens. Who you got?
Hey, like I said, congratulations, Campbell, but I don't think they're going to get this one done because
Yeah.
Georgia is just huge, and they're going to be in Athens where they're going to have the biggest fan base.
I agree. Unfortunately for Campbell, I believe this is it for the Camels. I think playing in Athens is going to be the difference.
I would
maker
love to
here.
see the upset, though, because that would be a talk
Oh, that'd
of
be
the
great.
nation.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, I know anytime somebody can stick it to Georgia, you're good with that.
Be like another UMBC here.
Yeah. Moving on, number 2 Duke University is going to be facing number 3 Troy, 2 p.m. on Friday. So they're in an earlier game. This one's also in Athens, so home field advantage is not really playing much of
Like a neutral site. Yeah.
kind of a neutral site. But Duke versus Troy, who are you going to take?
I'm going to go with Duke on this one. Troy's probably got a solid team. Actually, Troy is not too far away from Athens. I mean, they're about a state over because it's in Alabama.
Absolutely.
So they might have more of a fan base there, but I still think Duke can get it done.
Yeah, and I'm going to think with my my heart on this one instead of my head. Sorry, Duke, but I'm going to take Troy. Just because
You're not sorry.
No, I'm not. I want to see the upset on this one and see the Blue Devils go home with their tails tucked between their legs. Now, Eastern Carolina is going to be playing. They're number 1 seed, by the way, so congratulations to them. But ECU, East Carolina, is going to be playing another North Carolina team, number 4 UNC Wilmington. So this one's 7 p.m. Friday in Greenville, but Wilmington not that far away. So who are you taking on this one?
I think it's be a good game here, but I'm going to have to go with my Pirates on this one.
I think this could potentially be one of, if not the best series in these games we're mentioning here. ECU, I would think, is a bigger school than UNCW, but UNCW year after year after year puts out great baseball teams. Shout out to Brad Denson, too, who is one of the assistant coaches for baseball at Richmond and football as well. He actually played at UNCW.
Oh, wow.
So I want to give a shout out to Brad, as a few other guys from Richmond, but I remember him specifically. But ECU, UNCW, who you going to take?
The Pirates.
Taking the Pirates.
Gotta go with them.
I'm going to take UNCW just because, home field advantage is obviously to be in ECU, but Wilmington's just a couple of hours below them. So I'm going to go with the Seahawks on this one. Now, moving forward, the South Carolina team here. Number 2, South Carolina Gamecocks are facing the number 3 Ohio State Buckeyes, 2 p.m. on Friday. This one's also in Greenville. So obviously the Gamecocks have a little bit of a home field advantage. Who are you taking?
Well, I think that, since it is up in Greenville, I think the Pirates are going to come out there against the Gamecocks. I can see that happening because they don't get along too well.
I didn't even think about that.
I can see Ohio State winning this one just because of that.
I'm going to take the Buckeyes too. This one to me could go either way, as a lot of these games could. I don't really have a specific reason to take the Buckeyes, but I just think this is Ohio State's series to win. Moving on, another South Carolina team, Coastal Carolina, which is a number 1 seed. By the way,
unclear.
A lot of number 1s for the Carolina teams here. But they're facing off against number 4 LIU Brooklyn, which is Long Island University, Brooklyn. That's going to be 6 p.m. on Friday in Conway, South Carolina, which is where Coastal's located. Yeah. So who you got?
Well, I actually went to one of their football games this past season.
Oh, yeah?
CCU. Yeah, I actually worked down there with ESPN for them. And,
Well, you know, Josh Norman played there.
oh, really?
hmm That's kind of their claim to fame, I guess,
Yeah.
for football.
I actually like their field. Their field is pretty interesting.
Is it that green?
Yeah, it's that
Yeah.
that green blue tint.
Teal, yeah.
It's interesting. I won't say it's the best looking field, but it's very interesting to look at.
Well, I think they're trying to take a page off of Boise State with
Yeah.
the Smurf turf.
Yeah.
But go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, back to baseball. I am going to go for CCU on this one because that number one seed they're going to be in Conway, and I just think they can get it done. And going back to northern teams probably don't do as
Yeah.
well as southern teams, so I can see that Brooklyn won't get it done.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I don't even know how Long Island, Brooklyn got into this. Don't know anything about them. Don't want to know anything about them.
They must have been having some help from the Yankees.
You know what? Yeah, I think what happened there is they won their conference championship, which just like in basketball, gets you an automatic bid. So I'd imagine that's the route they took. But I'm taking Coastal too. I think they're strong. They were. I don't think they won, but they were in the College World Series like 2 years ago. So they have experience. Some of those guys are probably still on the team.
Yeah.
They know what to expect more. So I'm going to take was it Chanticleers?
Chanticleers, yep.
Chanticleers. What is that? A chicken or something? I think that's
Yeah,
the
it's
mascot.
a type of chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is funny because we just talked about the Gamecocks, which is a
Yeah.
fighting chicken, and then we got the Chanticleers as well. Moving on with the South Carolina theme, number one, Clemson, who was a threat every year to win a national
Oh, yeah.
championship. But in the first round here, they're facing off against number 4, Morehead State, which for a second we thought was another North Carolina team. In Morehead State, turns out they're actually in, Kentucky?
Yeah.
Number 1, Clemson. Number 4, Morehead State. 6 p.m. Friday at Clemson. Who you got?
I'm going to have to go with the Tigers on this one. That's the only time you're going to hear me say go Tigers.
And we've got it on tape.
That's the only time when it comes to baseball.
Yeah, I mean, to me, there's no way I'm taking Morehead State. It's got to be Clemson.
Yeah.
Clemson every year. Just real quick, Jack Leggett used to be the coach there for 35 years. I went to a couple of baseball camps down there. Now, obviously, this was 20 years ago at least, but the culture that's down there, Clemson, the city, the town is very close, very small town feel. Obviously, it's a big campus with a lot of facilities and whatnot, but just the overall atmosphere that you get at Clemson is going to be the difference maker here, I think. And then finally, ending off with my beloved Tar Heels, number 1 seed
You would say
UNC.
them for last.
Facing off, that's how they came on the computer, man. Or did they? It's facing off against another North Carolina team, NC A&T. So North Carolina A&T, which I think is up in Greensboro, around that area. But nonetheless, this game is 2 p.m. Friday at Chapel Hill. So not really a home field advantage with these two teams being just maybe an hour apart. But who you got?
Well, I'm going to have to go with the Tar Heels on this one. I think that they can get as a number 1 seed.
Yeah.
They're not number 1 for nothing, and the
Right.
highest among the Carolina teams in the overall ranking. So I think they've got a strong advantage here, and a lot of momentum built up on them.
Yeah, there's no way I'm taking A&T again, like I was saying a minute ago, because UNC's got the better players. It's in Chapel Hill. I know that Greensboro's not that far away, but I got to think that the Diamond Hill fans are just going to come out in droves and
Oh, yeah.
root their heels on. I do want to bring up something funny that happens sometimes with regionals is, for instance, let's say UNC gets knocked out. Well, the regional's still held at Chapel Hill. They don't move it to another
Yeah.
school. So I kind of find it funny sometimes when someone's playing in your house and you're not a part of it, which would have to make my blood boil, right?
And also, you can see those fans return back the try and deter the team that beat them from winning on.
Yeah. Now, again, we're gonna just like in NASCAR, we're gonna keeping track of this because College World Series doesn't get the hoopla like the college football playoffs or March Madness does, but still, there's a lot of great baseball being played. So I absolutely want to keep continuing the coverage and talk as far as college baseball is concerned. So we will continue that next week, and as we get closer to the College World Series in Omaha, Nebraska.
Any
But
arrow predictions?
what's that?
Any arrow predictions from the winner of overall?
No, I'm not
No?
going to do that yet. I want to see how we move forward after regionals.
right.
Maybe super regionals. I might make a pick. I mean, if you put me on the spot right now, I'm just going to say the Carolina, I guess. Let's do it. Who would you take?
Georgia.
Georgia. Really? We
I'm
got
throwing
that
it
on
out-
tape
I'm just-
too.
I'm just throwing it out there.
So we've got Russell is now a Georgia and a Clemson fan. So we're going to end it with that.
I'm
So-
going to take the teams that we beat this year. I'm trying to give back to the people, the lesser ones.
There it is. Not to be outdone, right? But again, that's going to do it for NASCAR and for NCAA baseball. We will continue to have this discussion when we come back next week. But in the meantime and in between time, when we come back from the break, we're going to get back into some WWE and Russell's trip to SmackDown on Tuesday. SmackDown Live, where was that, in Fayetteville?
Raleigh.
In Raleigh.
Yeah.
Raleigh. I thought it looked a little too big to be the Crown, but nonetheless, we've got all that. We're going to talk some wrestling. Russell's going to tell us about his adventure up to Raleigh and much more when we come back from the RO Sports Show.
McNair Auto Sales is the place to buy your pre-owned car, truck, or van. To be the best, it takes big selection, friendly staff, and great pricing. We guarantee a no-hassle buying experience, and financing is available right on site. So come see us today. We're located at 1026 East Broad Avenue in Rockingham. And remember, with over 40 years of experience, you know McNair is the name you can trust.
Family Pharmacy is a local pharmacy that's been in business in Rockingham for over 10 years. Located in the Food Lion Shopping Center on US 1 North, we have easy access into the store and a drive-thru for your convenience as well. You can download the official Family Pharmacy app at myfamilypharmacy.com, and we'll help you set it up to text you when your prescription is ready, and you can even set it up to fill your prescriptions when due. Our motto is we'll treat you like family, and it's something we truly mean. We take the same care in filling your prescription that we would take for our own family. Family Pharmacy, we'll treat you like family.
Willow Tree Antiques and Gifts is all about rustic home decor and gifts. You will always find a variety of unique antiques, vintage, and new items in our shop. Come and see our selection of housewarming, new baby, and wedding gifts. For the man in your life, we have many collectibles, Boker knives, and leather. And ladies love the jewelry, purses, candles, hats, and t-shirts. We also offer a 30-day layaway program. Come and experience shopping at Willow Tree Antiques and Gifts.
Hello, I'm Tammy Benson, and this is
Nancy Bowling.
And we're here to tell you about the wonderful service at hospice and what they have to bring, from the nursing services to the medical director to in-home aides to a chaplain to bereavement to everything you can imagine. They were there to take care of it.
I cannot think of how the experience with hospice could have been any better professionally, spiritually.
And welcome back to the RO Sports Show. As always, brought to you by First Health Orthopedics. Matt and Russell here. And Russell, you went to SmackDown Live this past Tuesday up in Raleigh. What was that, at the PNC Arena?
It was. Right across from Carter Family Stadium.
I made sure to watch a little bit of it because I was looking for you. Unfortunately, couldn't find you even in that bright Hufflepuff. Is that the Hufflepuff shirt? But I just let you know I did look for you. But nonetheless, I personally have never been to a live wrestling event, especially on this level. I'd love to still go. But first off,
are you coming with me next time?
Absolutely, I want. I'd love to go. But first of all, just tell me, for myself and others who haven't been to one of these, what's the atmosphere like?
Man, the height. Let's start from the outside of the arena.
Yeah.
From there, when you first approach, if you're going to a television show, you want to get there earlier than like 12. You want to get there around like morning time so you can see them coming in. If it's a live event like a house show, you can get there around 5 o'clock and you'll see them coming in. But when you get there, they'll come in through with their vehicles. Sometimes they'll come out and sign autographs, take pictures.
Did you guys get there early enough to do any of that?
We didn't.
Okay.
But I have gotten there where I've seen them in person before, and I haven't unfortunately been able to get any pictures. They just skipped over me.
Yeah.
So all the little kids, most of what they were going for. So, but yeah, out there is a lot of fun, and then the fans themselves, some of them get rowdy.
Oh yeah.
In Greensboro, my first event, everybody was chanting New Day was still the biggest thing going on then. So everybody lining up, they were all just chanting New Day rocks, and it was just going on and on and on. It just felt like you were in like a bunch of jumbo jets were in there.
I was hoping it would have been a Bootio chant, but I don't think they were doing the serial thing.
And then you get the Ric Flair woos, of course. When being in the Carolinas, you're going to hear that more than anywhere else, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of fun just being there. And when you get to the arena, you'll hear somebody go woo from one area and hear it from the other side, and they all just kind of just go together. That's a lot of fun being in that type of event.
By the way, isn't it so cool? I do it at home, but everyone knows what the chant's supposed to be or what's supposed to be said at any certain time.
Yeah.
Like if somebody slaps you across the chest, everybody in the arena knows to woo.
And if you don't know who Ric Flair is, you're going to do it anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially some of the younger kids who might not know who he is. But, talking about the atmosphere, I think that's one of the coolest things about it. How everybody, you don't know anybody else there except the people you came with, but everybody knows what to do.
I actually met a guy there who was chatting with us outside the arena. He was from Raleigh. He actually knew about Rockingham. His dad used to drag race down here.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. He was talking about wrestling back in the day, and then what we were experiencing now. We had that. We were able to share that there together, experience old and new, and it was a lot of fun there. We actually ran across him again inside the arena. He was looking for his seat. So yeah, it's a lot of fun when you get in there, and you can see my favorite part about it is you get to see, especially when it's on TV, you get to see the crew work.
Yeah,
and
during commercial breaks. And that's what I mean.
And they're getting set up still before that, so I get to watch production crew because that's where my major is in. So I'm always interested in doing that. Hopefully one day I'll get to work with them and do some of that stuff.
Oh yeah. Which for Tuesday night, I feel like was moving a lot of ladders back and forth, wasn't it?
Yeah, they actually had I was watching them take down the ladders, and during certain times they'll put them back on there, and you can see on the floor it lights up now. That's the LED board on the floor, and they have little white squares that pop up telling them exactly where they got to put the ladders at.
That's cool.
So they're always in the same spot.
Yeah. And in case you're wondering why ladders, of course, Money in the Bank is the next pay-per-view to come up, and we'll get into that here in just a few minutes. But moving on from the atmosphere and the actual matches themselves in the show, first of all, who did you think had the best entrance on the night?
Well, it was actually a match that people on TV did not get to see, and that was Jeff Hardy. He came out there defending his U.S. title. Shelton Benjamin was the guy he faced. Of course, he's from Orangeburg, South Carolina. So it was cool to see the hometown guy against that guy from down south.
Which I'm sure was probably done on purpose, wouldn't you think?
It was a lot of fun, especially for me, who actually grew up watching those two face each other off before in SmackDown.
Sure.
Shelton Benjamin used to be a great Intercontinental Champion, along with Jeff Hardy. They had plenty of battles before.
Yeah.
And some intense battles, too,
and
involving
both
ladders.
Crazy high flyers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, was that one that was like the go-home match?
It was the opening match.
Okay. To open, okay.
It was like about 7:30 when that one there started.
Gotcha.
So it was kind of like, okay, this is a warm-up match.
Yeah.
While we're still getting the final touches on, and something to distract the fans, I guess, too.
Now, sitting at home, I hate that I wasn't able to see that one, but I still like the fact that they do that sort of thing because, otherwise, just watch it on TV, right?
Yeah.
So you get some extra things that comes with the ticket.
And
right?
at the end of the entire show, which I didn't stay for because I had 205 Live coming on after SmackDown, and that's in the same arena.
Oh, okay.
But I was getting too late, so we had to go ahead and leave. And got to beat the traffic very easily, too. They had Carmella and Charlotte Flair in a title match at the end of all of that. So
really?
That would have been cool to see, but unfortunately I was not able to stay for the whole thing.
Yeah, because SmackDown, because it's live, ends at 10, and then 205 Live is, another hour probably? Yeah. Whew. So, that'd have been a late night for the crew setting it up because, the next night they have to go somewhere else and do a house show, right?
Yeah. It's insane how they would do this every single way. I know the superstars, they go out and do this every single night, but the production crew, they've got to get some accolades too because they do a lot, and I've seen it firsthand when I worked down for ESPN. It's a lot of work.
The guys that put the stage and the ring together, which is no small feat.
They had to bring 2 TV trucks with them too.
Yeah, I was going to say the guys in the truck, that do all the producing and editing, a lot of the stuff that you do, so which sometimes goes unnoticed, but we try to give you some love when we can as those guys for WWE. Now, getting back to my question. Who had the best entrance?
I'm going to have to go with Jeff Hardy.
You going to stick with that even though we couldn't see it on TV?
I was kind of, overall, I was a little disappointed with the show. Because I think it had a lot to do with the fact that it was SmackDown and not a house show where they do more interaction with the crowd. It was all more, all right, we got to do what...
For TV.
Right.
Okay.
So it was kind of like that. I didn't get to see Becky in as well as that. Or AJ. AJ or Becky was not actually competing. Those are my 2 favorites, so... I didn't get to see them, but I did get some new Becky Lynch goggles, which you can see right now on the screen.
Yes, and I asked you if you'd got your eyes dilated again, because Russell put up a picture on, I guess it was on Facebook earlier that day, where you got your eyes dilated, and they were similar, very eerily similar to the look of them. See, I thought you were going to say Nakamura because everybody loves
it. It was fun, but much you've seen it one time.
That's true.
Also,
That's
his
true.
music has changed a little bit
It
too.
did. They added like some hip hop to it or something.
Yeah, because now he's like a heel, so they changed it so he'll stop singing along with his music. So
yeah, I don't like that though. I
Yeah.
think you should keep it either way. But did people still sing along with it?
I know I was. And you can hear people around me doing it too.
I mean, who wouldn't? Now, moving on. In your opinion, from Tuesday night, who had the best match?
I think it had to be between Shinsuke and Ty Dillinger. They had a fight together, and it was really fun to watch that one because Shinsuke was actually interacting with the crowd there.
Yes, he was.
Of course, there was a last man standing match coming up for the Money in the Bank, which we'll get into in a minute, between AJ and Shinsuke. And Shinsuke was mocking AJ by going around doing the 1, 2 as Dillinger was down. My favorite part was whenever Dillinger got up after 9 and he said, 10.
I saw that, which is kind of his thing, you know.
Yeah.
What is it? What does he
He's
call
a
himself?
perfect 10.
Perfect 10. Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, the main event, which was originally supposed to be Daniel Bryan versus Samoa Joe.
Blockbuster match right there.
Yeah, and then you told me that Big Cass, who Daniel Bryan actually injured a few weeks ago, came back, basically just kind of inserted himself in this match, right? Somehow turned it into a triple threat match. And as we know now, Samoa Joe won that and is moving on to the Money in the Bank, which, of course, the stipulation for that was whoever won would move on. Now, before we get into Money in the Bank, do you see, with Big Cass coming into this triple threat, do you maybe see a Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass at the pay-per-view?
I think so. I think that'd be so. And let me say something else about Daniel Bryan real quick. Now he's back. When he came down the ramp, it was so cool being a part of the Yes movement when that happened. I never have seen that before in an arena because they never do it in sync. It's always kind of everybody's just doing it differently. But when he does it, everybody's following him, and it's so cool. So
yeah, it gives you goosebumps, doesn't it?
It did.
See, that's definitely one that I would love to see is the Yes movement. I'm assuming the whole stadium did.
Everybody, it was just a sea of arms going like that over and over. It was so
love
cool.
it, love it, love it. Now, as we said, Samoa Joe won the main event.
Mm-hmm.
He's moving on to the Money in the Bank ladder match. So we're gonna. I think the pay-per-view is actually a couple of weeks away.
Yeah, it's next month.
But we figured, why not? Well, next month's tomorrow.
No, that's true.
But we figured, let's go ahead and jump ahead and look at the card as it stands right now. So we're going to pull that up on the screen for you. The first one I want to touch on, and as we like to do, we're going to get some predictions in here. Bobby Lashley, who was away for a while, has come back from, what was he doing? MMA, I think?
I think so. Of course, he is a former ECW champion back when WWE had purchased them.
Absolutely.
One of my favorites back then as a kid,
and was integral in the part where Vince McMahon had to shave his head, if you remember.
Oh, yes,
several
I remember.
years ago.
How can anybody forget that?
Absolutely.
Him and it was the Battle of the Billionaires. Donald Trump was involved with
he
it.
He was. But Bobby Lashley going up against Sami Zayn, who I think might be an underdog in this. What do you think?
I think so. He's been running his mouth a lot about Bobby,
he has.
and I think he's about to get his. He's going to put his money where his mouth is finally.
Getting his comeuppance.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you look at the tail of the tape, Bobby Lashley should whip this guy. You know, Lashley is a huge man. Not to take anything away from Sami Zayn, but I have to think Lashley's going to come out on top in this one. Do you agree?
Oh yeah, and when Sami has been kind of bad-mouthing Lashley's family.
Oh yeah.
So when you do that, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah,
big time.
you stepped over that line, and I think Lashley's going to knock him back across that line the other way. Now, somebody that I'm not exactly sure where it's going to end up on the card, but a guy we usually see main eventing in the form of Roman Reigns, he's going to be facing Jinder Mahal. These guys have been having a feud that's been boiling over here recently. Who you got?
I'm probably going to go with Roman Reigns on this one because I just find it hard to go against the big dog.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I like Jinder Mahal, to be honest with you.
I know a lot of people who don't like him. I'm just like, Jinder. I like going along with the chant. It's catchy. It's fun.
What do they call him? The modern Maharaja?
Modern day Mahal. I can't do the role.
I can't. Maharaja. But yeah, you know, he was in, I don't think WWE was doing enough with him. He was in 3MB and, you know, some other garbage that he was involved with. He left, got his workout on, came back. He's a beast now. And
held the WWE title for a while.
Held the title. You're absolutely right. And actually, he won the U.S. champ, didn't he, at WrestleMania?
He beat Roman. He beat Randy Orton for the WWE title, and I believe he also won it against Bobby Roode.
That's who it was. Beat Bobby Roode for the U.S. championship. Now, obviously, he doesn't have that anymore, but I want to pick Jinder, but again, the big dog in the yard is Roman Reigns, so I'm going to have to take him. Now, as you alluded to, and I didn't realize this, this is a pay-per-view. Now they're doing SmackDown and Raw together on the same pay-per-views, which I want to ask you something about that here in a minute. But SmackDown's Women's Championship is going to be the champ, Carmella, who got the championship via this same pay-per-view, right?
Yeah.
Where she won the Money in the Bank, held it for a long, long time.
Well, actually, the last Money in the Bank match was actually James Ellsworth who won that match. Remember that?
That's right.
Then they had a second Money in the Bank match, and then Carmella actually won it.
Okay. That's right. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
That's why one of the many reasons why we got you here. But nonetheless, Carmella is the champion.
Yep.
She's going up against Asuka, who was undefeated until WrestleMania when she lost to Charlotte Flair, one that you called. Who you got?
I don't know about this. I feel like Asuka could definitely win this one if everything plays fair. Now, Carmella did win a clean match against Charlotte at the last pay-per-view. So I think Carmella has the potential to win, but this is Asuka we're talking about, and only one person has actually beaten her in a clean way, and that's Charlotte.
Yeah. I look at it. So you're going to take...
I'm going to take Asuka.
I'm going to take Asuka, too. I mean, all the respect to Carmella, but Carmella, Charlotte Flair. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't think they're on the same level, which is why I think Charlotte Flair will continue, at least for the foreseeable future, to be the only woman to beat Asuka, which is why I think she walks out as the SmackDown's Women's Champion, and you seem to agree with me as well. Now, moving forward, the Raw Women's Championship is also on the docket, and you may see a name that you recognize in the form of Ronda Rousey. Rowdy Ronda. So she's going to be facing off against the champ, Nia Jax, who's been the champ since WrestleMania, correct?
Yep.
Who you
She
got?
actually called out Ronda for this match. She said, I want Ronda for this time.
Really?
Actually, it was actually like some kind of awards show or something like that they were at.
Okay.
And Nia called her out right there. Ronda was not wanting to do it, but Nia...
Well, when somebody challenges you, gotta take it, right?
Yeah. Well, Ronda was saying that the other women that deserve it before she does, because she just got there only have one match.
Sure. Fair
enough. But Nia
enough.
was saying she wants the best, so she's going to go after Ronda. So they had a contract signing, and then they're going to go off at each other now. So
how do you see this one turning out?
I can see Ronda Rousey winning this one. I think Nia is asking for too much here. She's a great athlete, but I don't think she's got what it takes to beat Ronda.
Think she may have bit off a little more than she can chew, so to speak. You know what? I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to say Nia retains.
That would be interesting.
With the caveat that Ronda will face her in the future again, maybe at a bigger pay-per-view, and then win.
There's a possibility that Nia could actually have some backup come out there too and help her.
Could be. Now, see, and I chalk it up to, I was talking tail of the tape with Bobby Lashley. Tail of the tape, Nia Jax is the better competitor. If you look at, height, weight, reach, that sort of thing.
Right.
Ronda's still maybe getting used to fighting in WWE after having a UFC background, so I think that might play into it.
She has not had a singles competition.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. This will be the first time where it's one-on-one. You know, she had Kurt Angle in her corner at WrestleMania. There was another match recently. I can't remember who it was, but it was a doubles match. So I'll be interested to see how this one turns out, but I'm going to take the champ retaining. So, speaking of champs, Seth Rollins is the Intercontinental Champion, and he's going to be facing off against Elias, which surprised me a little bit. Not saying he's not a good competitor, but should he be in the IC champ talk?
I think so. I think Elias has been showing a lot of potential, especially with the crowd. The crowd is getting behind him, despite that he keeps bad-mouthing them every night. But
yeah, he plays songs insulting them, and they love it. They eat it up. So, but you're gonna have Seth retaining, or you think there's an upset alert?
I think Seth might be able to pull this one off, but I'm still hanging there with Elias. I think he's got all the momentum built up on him. I think there's no doubt he could win this one.
Upset alert it is then. I'm going to take Seth Rollins, and I'm going to take Seth Rollins with a runaway. Again, nothing against Elias, but it's Seth freaking Rollins. And I see him burning it down, as his song says. So.
Yeah, well, in my opinion, I think the stage will look a lot better for Elias if he has that title sitting right at his feet while he plays the guitar.
That's true. And I'd love to hear what that song sounds like.
That sound gold.
By the way, he's a good guitar player.
Yeah.
Which, again, surprised me because, we've seen that, not gimmick, but, we've seen other performers in the day. The Rock used to do it a lot and insulted the crowd too, and they ate that up too. So I guess the thing to do, if you're going to sing on WWE, talk smack on SmackDown to the crowd. And then finally, as far as this main part of the card, the WWE Champion, match, which Shinsuke was able to come up with what the stipulation was going to be. He chose last man standing. AJ Styles is the champ. Shinsuke Nakamura, a repeat from WrestleMania, which was a 5-star match. First of all, do we see another 5-star match?
Well, this is the last man standing match.
Mm-hmm. A little bit different.
Which means that the match can end anywhere in that arena.
Yeah, which I love.
As long as the guy is down for the count for 10 count on the mat or on the ground, and that's how the winner is going to be determined.
Could be in the concession stand for all we know.
I was actually hoping that they might come out there and fight a little bit outside the arena SmackDown just to kind of preview the show.
Which they haven't done that in a while. They used to do that a lot in the Attitude Era. And I don't mean to interrupt you, but I remember a match, I think it was Billy Gunn or somebody, and they ended up in the river outside.
Yeah.
I think it was in St. Louis or one of those that backs up to the Mississippi. And actually it was Al Snow, and he pinned the guy in the river. So, moving outside of the actual ring, I think is really cool. But go ahead.
I'm going to have to probably pick, I think this is Shinsuke's time. I'm going to go with Shinsuke.
All right. I agree that it's his time. I would like to see this rivalry continue.
Yeah.
Because of that, I also think Shinsuke is going to take it.
I can see AJ winning it back.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And then maybe at, what's the next biggest? SummerSlam?
Yeah.
Could see them fighting again, which I hope they do. Because anytime these two legends get together, you get a great match. So I would like.
Crazy to call them legends now.
Well,
they haven't gotten, but that's just a proof that they are great at what they're doing.
Yeah, and both of these guys, fought in Japan, did the indie circuit a lot. Now they both ended up in WWE.
And they were part of Bullet Club at one point.
Bullet Club, yeah, and people have just been anticipating that, especially for WrestleMania, and now again for Money in the Bank, and hopefully for SummerSlam when Shinsuke is coming in with the championship. Now. The name of the game is Money in the Bank. So we got to get to that. Let's start with the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. And as you can see here on the board, the competitors are Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, The Miz, Rusev Day, Bobby Roode, Kevin Owens, and Samoa Joe. We've also got a New Day member that's going to be joining the club, although we don't know which one that's going to be yet. So let's start there. Out of the 3 members, who do you think is going to represent?
I think, considering I'm watching SmackDown this past Tuesday, I think Big E got the pin.
Yeah.
I can see Big E be the one that has that momentum to come in and do it. But I would love to see Kofi do it. Could you imagine the high-flying moves he can do off the ladders?
I agree. And I would love to see him because, we see the Royal Rumble matches where he gets thrown out and never touches the floor
doing the
somehow.
handstands.
Yeah, all kinds of crazy stuff. And he's been doing that for years. But I'm with you. I think Big E is going to be the guy we see representing for the New Day.
You're not with me. I'm actually going to go with Kofi on this.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then we differ then. I'm going to take Big E then.
Watch this both be wrong and be Xavier.
Yeah, right. Yeah. After all that, it'll be Xavier Woods. Now, as I mentioned, all those other guys, though, or if you think it's going to be Kofi, who you got winning the match?
Well, there's a lot of guys on here that I can see winning this one, but I don't think it'll be Samoa Joe or Braun Strowman. I think they have more potential in their respective brands.
Okay.
I'm going to have to go with either The Miz, Rusev, or Bobby Roode, and I'm probably going to narrow it straight down to The Miz because all 3 of those guys, they can definitely do something with that briefcase, and they have the ego to put it out there that, I've got this.
Oh, yeah.
You better be watching out, champ. But I'm going to go with The Miz because I think he's got the better of those 3.
I mean, I completely agree with you. You're right about Strowman, Samoa Joe. They may have other business to take care of in other places, especially Braun Strowman. I mean, he seems to be the top guy in the whole
I'm still waiting on him
company.
to take down that one guy who never shows up for like 6 months.
Yeah, I forget his name.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, let's just not even talk about him.
Yeah.
He who will not be said, or what was that? How's that go?
You know who.
Yeah.
He who must not be named.
He who must not be named. Yeah. There's a Harry Potter theme in there somewhere. But I was going to say The Miz too, but I'll take Bobby Roode. Okay. But again, one of the things I like about this match that we discussed before we came on was how any one of these guys, including whoever it is from New Day, could win this match. Because sometimes in these, you see a couple of names in there and you're like, look, we already know that guy's not going to win. He may just be there for, high-flying action or something like that. But
the one thing I like about Money in the Bank matches is that usually the winner is someone you don't expect to win.
Right.
I mean, Money in the Bank kind of gives that opportunity to those guys who are not always in the spotlight, and they can become in the spotlight now because of the Money in the Bank contract. So I like the concept of Money Bank because of that reason.
And you know, Rusev could be a name to throw out there because Aiden English, I imagine, is going to be hanging around, right?
Yeah, it has to be.
Let me ask you a question about the Miz. Is the Miz Taraj B team as they're known now? Do they still hang together, or have they kind of gone their separate ways?
They're going separate ways because I know Miz is on SmackDown and the B team.
They stayed on Raw.
Yeah.
Okay, and by the way, they've been doing some big things. I've seen.
Yeah, from my understanding, next Monday they're going to determine who will be facing against Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt for the Raw Tag Team titles. We don't know yet, but they're going to have a Tag Team Battle Royal.
Cool.
So the last team standing in that Battle Royal is going to be the number one contenders.
I wonder if that'll be the B team.
Yeah.
All right, so you're taking the Miz. I'm going to take Bobby Roode. But again, I agree with you. Like, any one of those guys would do well, especially the Miz. Like, just taunting people. Am I going to do it now? Am I going to do it next week? You never know.
Be an awesome cash-in or a glorious cash-in.
Yeah, I'm hoping it'll be glorious. Now, to finish off the card here, as we know it, as we speak, we've also got the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. And again, you can see the names up there. We're going to start with Charlotte Flair. Your girl, Becky Lynch, is involved. Sasha Banks, the newcomer from NXT, Ember Moon. Alexa Bliss. Natalya, who at this point is the veteran for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Lana, the Ravishing Russian. And Naomi. So, should I even ask?
No doubt about I'm picking Becky Lynch. But if I had a second guess, I would like to see Ember Moon win it.
Okay.
I think she's got the potential to do it. But, at the same time, she probably won't win it because I think she's still kind of new to it. I don't think she's ever been to a ladder match.
I don't think so either.
At least not in NXT anyhow. I think the sleeper would have to be Naomi though.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask you something about her in just a minute. But I was talking about the men's match, how I think any of those could win. I agree with this list except Lana. I don't think she has enough experience yet in the ring to be considered a legitimate threat.
Well, I've been hearing it from the female superstars from Raw. It takes guts and it takes some luck.
Yeah,
she might have the luck.
She could have both, and I would imagine Rusev and Aiden English might be walking around
Can you imagine
too.
if both of them have the briefcase?
Yes, which you absolutely could see. Yeah, which by the way, they brought up on SmackDown that you were at when Lana and Naomi faced off in a dance-off. So just being there, what was that like?
Well, when you hear "Let's Dance," you think it's a fight, but they literally dance in the crowd or in the ring. They had some moves. I have to say that they had some good moves. And,
they did.
Obviously, I would have to say Naomi probably won the battle.
Yeah.
But in the actual fight, it started out, Lana came into a surprise with a neck breaker, I think she did on her.
Yeah.
And they kind of had a fight between them. And then the Usos were backing up Naomi.
Right.
Rusev, they were backing up Lana. I think next week they actually got it scheduled where it's going to be a mixed tag team match between those 6 competitors. So it'd be interesting to see that.
Absolutely.
You don't usually see a mixed tag team match between and very much anymore. So it'd be interesting.
And these sort of dance-offs, especially on the women's side, they used to do that a lot in the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
Of course, they used to do a lot of other judgmental things like bra and panty matches and like
pillow
fights and pudding fights and stuff like that. And I'm glad they got away from that sort of thing because it's a little demeaning. But nonetheless, you said Ember Moon. I was thinking Ember Moon because she's the new girl on the scene.
I'm sticking with Becky Lynch. That's not what I want to pick. Let's be clear.
Okay.
Let's be clear of that.
All right, so you're going to start there. Just to make it different, I'll take Alexa Bliss.
What?
She's been champ on both shows,
right.
SmackDown and Raw.
And that's why I don't think she will win because she is not at that level. I mean, she's at a higher level than most of these competitors in this match. I can't see her or Charlotte winning it because of that reason.
So because they're good, they have no shot?
Because they're good, they're going to be a target.
Yeah, but I think either one could
Plus,
be able to take that on.
As short as Alexa is, can she even reach up there from the top ladder?
That's a good point. I didn't think about that. Of course, Charlotte Flair has to be the tallest out of all of them, right?
Yeah, I believe
She's
so.
probably as tall as I am. At least it looks that way. But that's going to do it for our predictions. Again, we'll probably come back on a couple weeks after this pay-per-view's done and touch base, and again, see how good or bad we did on the predictions.
Yeah.
Of course, you tend to do a lot better than I do in those sorts of things. But again, that's going to do it.
We got one more thing now.
That's right. Yes. I forgot
Local
to talk about
wrestling.
it. Local wrestling. SWA.
Sandhills Wrestling Alliance.
Sandhills Wrestling Alliance. I'm glad you reminded me. They've got another event coming up, which they were nice enough to let us commentate the first time around. So just tell us a little bit about it.
Well, they're going to have a benefit show that's going to be towards helping out the rescue squad, and it's going to be dedicated to first responders. The proceeds will be given to the rescue squad. I'll help them with their training, their equipment, and other things they need. But if you're a police officer, EMS, fire, rescue, correctional, nurses, dispatchers, all those professions, they're going to be free of charge to get into the doors.
Awesome.
So, yeah, be awesome. Really awesome. Of course, Cruz Bill is going to be in a match against Wanchi in a first responders lumberjack match. So they're looking for all the first responders to come out there to be lumberjacks.
Yes. Yes, so if you were watching and you want to get on the action and you're in that field, definitely come and check that out. And we're going to continue talking about it, but I just want to let people know that's going to be taking place Saturday, June 16th at the Richmond County Rescue Squad. Doors open at 6. They're ringing the bell at 7. So then there's another match that you were talking about earlier, right?
Yeah, the SWA owner, Crash Calhoun, he's going to be having a match, a last man stand match. He actually got called out by another guy named, I think it's Crash the Milkman. The Crash with a K.
Crash the Milkman. That'll strike fear into your opponent, right? As long as he comes out with milk, that'll be okay. So.
But they're going to have a match. He's actually accusing Crash Calhoun of costing him his match at a different event in the last month. So have to see what Crash Calhoun does to retaliate. It'll be a last man standing match, which is similar to what they'll do in WWE. That match can end anywhere. It can end in the crowd for all we know. And of course, no rules, no disqualifications or anything like that. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Absolutely. And of course, us here at the Richmond Observer and of course the RO Sports Show, big fans of SWA, and hopefully we'll be able to do some commentary on this pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah.
I call it pay-per-view, but this big event as well. So definitely looking forward to that. And again, just to remind you, that's Saturday, June 16th at the Richmond County Rescue Squad, right down the road from us here on Rockingham Road. Doors open at 6. Bell will be rung at 7. So anything else I'm leaving out?
I think that's it.
I think that's it. All right, that's going to do it for wrestling for this week. And when we come back, we're going to end the show just like we always do, our big impact of the week. We're going to take a look at the RO Sports Show poll for this week, which got a lot of play, and we'll discuss that when we come back and finish it off with Love It or Hate It. All that and more when we come back from the RO Sports Show. Welcome back to the final segment of the RO Sports Show. As always, brought to you by First Health Orthopedics.
Already on the last one.
Already, man. It goes by so quickly.
Yeah.
And we're going to end it the same way we always do. But first, let's start with our big impacts of the week. As always, brought to you by Richmond Community College, whose motto is Local College, Big Impact. So who you got this week, Russell?
Well, I've got UNC. They have the win of the 2018 Ultimate Frisbee National Championship. They beat University of Pittsburgh over the weekend. So congratulations to Tar Heels on winning one.
Yeah, definitely a sport that we've never touched on and may never touch on again. So I definitely wanted to get that out there. But yeah, Tar Heels.
Unique.
Tar Heels win a lot of national championships. Ultimate Frisbee was one that surprised me a little bit. So still very cool.
At least they got something.
Easy. Now, my big impact of the week, going to go a little bit more local. We got some Lady Raiders from the soccer team who made the All-SAC team, and there are a bunch of them. There's actually 6 altogether. We've got Morgan Hooks, a junior forward, Tatum Hubbard, a junior center back, Hannah Millen, a senior striker, Jayana Nicholson, junior midfielder, Alexa Sweeney, who's a sophomore goalkeeper, and Chloe Wiggins, who is a junior midfielder. So congratulations to all of those young ladies. Now, there's only one senior there, so they're only losing one of these players, so the future's bright. But someone who's not coming back that I also want to include in my big impact is head coach Benny Howard, who just finished up his 30th season coaching, and he was actually nominated and won Coach of the Year in
Well
the SEC.
deserved.
Absolutely well deserved. So congratulations to him, the Lady Raiders, and the the Tar Heels as well. So that's our big impacts of the week. Now, moving on, the RO Sports Shows poll, which we try to do each week now, is something new that we've started. And this one may have touched on some nerves a little bit. And we discussed this last week about NFL owners recently voting to fine NFL players who kneel for the national anthem. Now, as you can see on the graphic, this one went 66% saying that they think the owners are right, players shouldn't be allowed to kneel. 34% saying, you have some constitutional rights, they should be able to do it. Just real quick, what's your opinion on how this poll turned out?
Well, I'm kind of surprised to see that it's got a big difference in it. I actually thought this would be a little more closer together.
I did too.
But, I completely I disagree with the NFL owners voting to fine the players for kneeling. I think it's a little ridiculous. But
yeah, I don't like it either, and I think I said last week that I hope there's a lot of stink that comes from this, and maybe they peel it back next year. But I will say this on the other flip of the coin, real quick: NFL owners pay the bills, they pay the players, and I've said this before. Yes, you have a constitutional right that if you want to protest something, you go ahead and do it. But at the same time, you have to be able to roll with the consequences if there are any.
Oh, yeah.
In this case, that's going to be a fine. Now, what I'll be interested to see is when we get to the season, if some of these guys that make enough money might kneel in spite of it because of fine, they don't really care about that.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see
happen.
how that turns out. But again, the 66 for the owners, 34% for the players. And I agree, I thought this would be a little bit closer. But nonetheless, we appreciate everybody that participated on this. Got a lot of play. And again, you can find all of that on the RO Sports Show's Facebook page each week on Monday night. And as we always like to do, Russell, let's end it with love it or hate it. We got a few topics here tonight. Let's start with the NFL. Brandon Marshall, who is 34 years old. This is his 13th season in the NFL. Signed with the Seahawks, I think yesterday rather. So love it or hate it?
I'm going to say love it. Yeah.
I'm going to say love it too, just real quick. He's behind Doug Baldwin and Tyler Lockett, who are the top two receivers, although if they walked in the room right now, I wouldn't know who they were, and I follow football. But Seattle lost Jimmy Graham, who was a dynamic tight end. He actually went to Green Bay to play with Aaron Rodgers, so I think that's where Brandon Marshall will fit in here. So I'm going to say love it because they'll be able to get some points in the red zone. Moving on, Tracy McGrady, who was I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame, but a great basketball player for the Raptors, for the Orlando Magic. Anyway, he works for ESPN now on their NBA show and says that he thinks the Boston Celtics will, sooner rather than later, be the Golden State of the East. Love it or hate it?
I'm going to say love it, so as long as LeBron stays out of the East.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that what he was saying was if LeBron goes west or LeBron retires or after LeBron's gone, either way, that's when they'll become the Golden State of the East. I absolutely agree with him. I love it.
Yeah.
We saw what the rookie Jason Tatum could do. You add him with Rozier, who was killing it before Game 7, and then you get back Kyrie Irving, one of the top players in the game, and then you get back Gordon Hayward. The future is very, very bright for Boston, and I love this one. Now, your boy, Nick Saban, taking some heat lately for what is blocking transfers within the SEC. So, for instance, if one of his guys wants to go play for Tennessee or Georgia or whatever, he has been blocking them, but he's been catching a lot of heat that he doesn't think he deserves. But taking all this heat, love it or hate it?
I'm going to say hate it on the fact that I don't really agree with these blocks. I don't think it's his fault that it's happening to begin with. I think it's like a SEC rule.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think if a player wants to go somewhere, I don't think it should be right that you have to block them from going there. It might not be a football issue. It could be an academic issue.
Right.
And they get blocked for that. They might change an area of study, and they want to go to another school that has it better there than they do here. University's going to block that, and I think that's wrong. It's kind of like a money grab for that school.
Right.
So, yeah.
I'm going to say hate it, but I'm going to say hate it for the heat that Saban's taking because, like you mentioned, this is actually an SEC rule. It's not something that he came up with. It was probably in place before he even came to Alabama. So
I think the only reason why it's relevant right now is because it's Nick Saban.
Exactly. That's the whole thing. If this was whoever, who's the worst team? Vanderbilt, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't even know their coaches. If he was doing it, nobody'd be talking about it. But because it's Nick Saban, lightning rod, sort of thing, he's been catching heat for it. I think another thing that plays into it is the fact that it is a rule, but some coaches don't follow it. They'll let guys move within the SEC, and I think that's why Saban's probably taking a little more heat than other guys. Now, talking about transferring, Shea Patterson, who has been Ole Miss, another SEC team, their starting quarterback for the last couple of years, very good football player. He transferred to Michigan over the offseason, and when asked why he did it, he was quoted as saying it was a business decision, which I found a little odd because you usually don't hear, college students talking that way. But just kind of a background story here. When he was mulling whether to stay at Ole Miss, this was at the point where Ole Miss was what many thought were getting ready to get the death penalty, if you will, for sanctions, for getting in trouble for whatever it was. There were a lot of things there. He was told by the NCAA, by his own administration at the school, that they weren't going to get the death penalty, that he still had a good team behind him, and he should stay. Well, he stayed, and they dropped the death penalty on him. So now he's transferring. But for him to call it a business decision, love it or hate it?
I'm going to say hate it because I think there's a lot of backdoor stuff going on, a lot of talks that among the NCAA and him and then the schools itself. It's a lot of gray area here, and I don't really like that, so I'm going to say hate it.
I'm going to say hate it too because I think the student athletes are finally starting to realize that these schools don't necessarily have your best interests at heart.
Right.
Like you said, it's all about money. One thing I don't like is, and I've said this before, how coaches can leave one school and go to another school and be able to coach that next year, whereas a player has to go through all these rules and red tape.
Yeah.
Maybe they can play next year, maybe they can't. Sometimes it's academic. If a coach is allowed to leave and start up somewhere else the next season, I think a player should be able to.
Certainly.
Unless it's like a disciplinary action that involves getting in trouble maybe with the law or something like that. But and then, of course, the whole thing about should players be paid and all that, which is a whole nother fight for a whole nother day. But to finish up, love it or hate it, right down the road, down 74, Charlotte Motor Speedway. I guess the guy was drunk. We got a fan. Ended up climbing the fence at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Love it or hate it?
I'm going to actually say hate this because, that's so dangerous to be doing something like that to begin with. And I can get the guy was probably drunk. He probably wanted closer view to action.
Well, he got it.
And the fence kind of curves a little bit.
Right.
So he's literally just kind of laying over the racetrack looking down at it. And I'm pretty sure the guy had a drink in his hand and just kind of sitting there watching the race, and then the security comes up, takes him down.
Of course.
But I'm gonna say, hey, it's so dangerous not only for him, but even the drivers who are seeing that, making them anxious and nervous. And the guy falls down, they hit him. That's gonna be traumatic, and it'd be a bad night for everybody.
So he actually climbed it while the race was going on.
Yeah.
So these cars are going by 220 miles an hour, and he's like, right. I'm gonna say both of them. I'm gonna say love it because I love his ingenuity. Hate it because the guy's an idiot and could have not only got himself killed but got somebody else killed, maybe on the track, because like you said, these guys all of a sudden see somebody hanging on the fence, they freak out, they jerk it one way, and next thing you know, you've got a 10-car pileup. So
a couple of years ago over at Richmond, it was kind of made public a lot. They happen pretty occasionally. I won't say every single race, but occasionally you do have that one guy do that. And at Richmond, they actually pulled a caution because they couldn't get the guy down. I don't think the broadcast booth acknowledged it. Mm-hmm. But
don't bring any more attention to him, kind of thing.
But I found out from the crowd, from their phones recording it, that's what had happened.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's what happens sometimes when you mix alcohol in sporting events. But again, I think it was luckily nobody got hurt, so we can kind of laugh at it a little bit here. But come on, people, don't be idiots, especially in a dangerous sport like that.
They happen in WWE sometimes as well.
It does. It happens in a lot of sports.
Yeah.
You see it. Golf, it's starting to pop up now, which you think that'd be the last one. Where people would get.
It's
rowdy,
already a sin to say something right before they hit the.
Yeah. Well, as it should be though. But nonetheless, that's going to do it for Love It or Hate It. That's also going to do it for this edition of the RO Sports Show, brought to you by First Health Orthopedics. And once again, we name off all the ways you can watch and listen. You've got the RO app, the Richmond Observer website, the Richmond Observer's Facebook page, the Richmond Observer's YouTube page. You can also listen on the Classic Rock Radio and their app. And what else am I missing? Oh, that's right. The RO Sports Show's Facebook page as well, which we just started up last week.
7 ways to watch.
7 ways to watch and listen.
That's a good number.
And guess what? They're all free. So if you aren't watching or listening yet, You've got no excuses, so make sure to check us out this week, next week, and the coming months, and hopefully years. But that's going to do it for myself, Matt Harrelson, Russell Parker. Hopefully we'll see you again right back next Thursday at 5:30. Everybody, have a great week.